real quick.
There we go.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. This is a meeting of the Metropolitan Area Planning Agency Board of Directors. It'll be conducted in compliance with the Nebraska statutes of the Open Meeting Act. For reference, the Open Meeting Act is posted on the wall of the boardroom. If we could go ahead and start with roll call. Sue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's all right. It's all right.
Mayor John Ewing Jr.
Javier Saldana for Mayor John Ewing.
Commissioner Mike Friend.
Here.
Mayor Rusty Hike.
Here.
Mayor Doug Kindig.
Here.
Commissioner David Klug.
Here.
Councilmember Don Rowe. Supervisor Brian Shea.
Here.
Mayor Jill Shudak.
Here.
Mayor Ashley Winquist. Here. One.
Very good. Agenda item B is, could I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. And any questions or discussion? If not, Sue?
Saldana.
Yes.
Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Brian.
Hike.
For yes.
Klug.
Yes.
Shea.
Yeah.
Shudak.
Yes.
Winquist. Yes. Kindig.
Yes. Agenda item C, I would need a motion to approve the board minutes for the July 23rd meeting.
Some Winquist.
Does that include? Any further questions? Sue?
Saldana.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Hike.
Yes.
Klug.
Yes.
Shea.
Aye.
Shudak.
Yes.
Winquist. Yes. Kindig.
Yes. Agenda item D is agency reports, Mike?
Sure. So just a few things. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about transportation reauthorization here. Just like to give you another update. So the House released a bill over the summer called Build America 250, came out of committee, and looks a lot like, you know, kind of what I would say MPO, local government priorities, want to see, which is, you know, kind of continued suballocation of funds. There's some other tweaks in there. The Senate is doing its work right now, and sort of uniquely here in Nebraska, we have two senators that are on important committees. So we have Senator Ricketts, who's on Environment and Public Works, and we have Senator Fisher, who is on Commerce, which oversees kind of transit and some of the other elements of the infrastructure bill. The Senate's getting to work. I was actually just on a call with Senator Fisher's office here right before that, but just wanted to give you kind of just another sort of refresher on some of those priorities. There's a handout here prepared by the LOC Coalition, which is the Local Officials in Transportation. This is something that's really unique this round of transportation reauthorization, where we have the national associations that you see on the board up there, from the League of Cities to the Conference of Mayors, AMPO, the MPO group, Regional Councils group, and then NATO, all really putting together, like, how would we reimagine the transportation, federal transportation process on behalf of local governments, and what does that look like? And what it looks like is more flexible funding kind of at the MPO level, looks like more resources for organizations like MAPA, but ultimately lower match requirements, other things like that we hear are pain points for local governments. And so this work has been really tremendous. I mean, it's been really powerful to be able to have mayors like Mayor Kindig here on behalf of the League of Cities and our national associations all really working together productively. It's like, why wasn't this happening before? I don't really know, but it's pretty incredible. So something to keep your eye on. But with the Senate out of session here or on recess rather, until I think the 14th. And then folks will be back in town in October just before the election. If you do have a chance to interact with your elected officials, just reinforcing the importance of transportation reauthorization and all of those funding sources for local governments would go a long way. They love hearing from constituents on all of those things. Next week on Thursday and Friday, there is a lot of stuff going on around the Build America Bureau. NDOT and MAPA have received a couple of major grant awards. One of them's the TRIPS project, which I have highlighted here. It's kind of a handout we've used in the past. At the bottom there, you'll note that it talks about the infrastructure hub and the regional infrastructure accelerator. So they have Dr. Morteza Farjian, who is the head of the Build America Bureau. He'll be in town on Thursday and Friday of next week. there'll be a roundtable actually here in this room with him kind of going through several projects, one of them being the infrastructure hub, some of it touching on MAPA's planning and other big local projects like the streetcar. And then ultimately one of the other major awards, which was called the Stitch, which is an area around 30th and Dodge, kind of where those interstate ramps from 480 come into this, you know, the big green area. And there's been a lot of talk within the city of Omaha for a long time, even back to when we were doing the Metro Travel Improvement Study back in 2014 and 2015 about how could we unlock development in this area. It's a really important intersection and corridor. At that time, the transformation of the Creighton Hospital into apartments was happening, and it was like, how would this growth continue? And NDOT went and pursued grant resources to kind of help them reimagine their role in economic development as really a function of the transportation system, which is a big deal. I'll just note that is a very big change. And you just think about if that playbook is something that we can help cultivate for NDOT that has big implications for Fort Crook Road, might have made 84th Street easier for you guys. You know, all of the state highways that are around the region here on the NDOT side, it's just a totally different playbook. So on September 4th, there will be a preface conference with folks from FHWA and Morteza, dignitaries from across the state, even including Governor Pillen, kind of at 30th and Dodge, really talking about that project. So very exciting and more to come, but kind of a big, all this stuff has been happening just this week. So you're getting it hot off the presses. Laura, could you advance? Okay. Just a few news updates. So we'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide, but the e-moto work that MAPA has been facilitating has been getting a lot of coverage here, even in July and then ultimately into August as well. I did have a one pager that we've been using kind of to help guide this process. We've got a website up as well talking about this. I'll get into it a little bit more on the next slide. I also wanted to highlight just that the Potawatomi County Trails Association had a ribbon cutting for the next part of the railroad trail. It's a project that MAPA, both in terms of our MPO and RPA, have been supporting. Really excited to see that next link and continued support on all of that. I wanted to highlight one event that was occurring earlier this week out in Bennington. City administrator kind of called a community meeting about e-motos and scooters. There were tons of law enforcement officials there, some statewide associations, MAPA staff were there to talk about our work along with Bike Walk Nebraska and other partners. And I think, you know, there's not a lot of consensus from the public about, you know, what they want to see. You know, some people want them to be banned. Some folks think they're great tools. And I think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle there. But I think it's why a project like what we're doing with local leaders to really articulate what can we do today and how do we harmonize things at the local level, and then take those recommendations about gaps that we have, particularly for our law enforcement partners to the state, and say, we need to define these vehicles in statute so that we can apply rules of the road. And then also just then having local governments define where these different types of vehicles go. But I think the gap that we've been seeing, especially over this summer, I think the summer months with kids out of school has been a real challenge. Really trying to have those recommendations in place really by September or October, kind of on the local side for local governments to be able to carry forward. And then really continuing that engagement with the state legislature in Nebraska and through the Iowa Bike Coalition in Iowa to really try to harmonize this as much as we can to really get a sense of what are kind of smart locally driven solutions to this problem and where do we need tweaks from the state, but keeping the state out of conversations like, are these allowable on trails? Like that's a local decision.
Mike, this is something that our city council has asked the city of Constables to start to look into. And
Right.
so we're going to have an opening session with one of our council members, our legal team, with somebody from MAPA one to join us next week.
Yeah, I had staffed Carlos out to another meeting, but we'll get Lindsay and Carlos, I'll connect with your team.
Perfect.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And then also, you know, it's been a long summer, but MAPA, we've been in the process of hiring a deputy director. This is a new position for us. It's been in the budget a couple of years, but it's taken us a while to get our office in the right place to have a new role like this. But we're bringing on Lindsay Byers, who most recently had worked at the city of Omaha on the We Make Omaha team. But prior to that had actually been working at PayPal in really kind of I would say like a really leadership role around people development, process improvement, and a lot of things that, a lot of change management in the corporate culture. And so bringing, I think, just a real wealth of knowledge about some of the things that we'll talk about a little bit later in our strategic plan. It's really kind of what this position is anchored in. But I think a really exciting, really great process. We had a number of folks from MAPA members who helped us with that process. We had Jacqueline Morrison from the city of Omaha. We had Mark Sturzma from the city of Papillion. And then we had Michael Holton, city administrator from Trainer, really sit in and be kind of an external review committee to work alongside of us, and a lot of consensus through that process. One, that we had great candidates, which made the process hard, but ultimately that we really could choose somebody that really aligned with the direction that we wanted to go. So very excited about that. She will start on the 14th, and you'll see her next month. So very excited about that. And then last but not least, we have the Council of Officials meeting on October 7th. So we are going to be down at the Lakin Community Center on the Mills County Fairgrounds, so down just south of Malvern. It's a lovely facility. I hope you're able to join us. So it's our annual dinner, so it's in the evening, and we'll have a keynote presentation from folks from Age Friendly Omaha, which is an effort that Mayor Ewing's really kind of heading up for Omaha and bringing people together to think about, you know, how do we sort of really take advantage of and leverage the aging population that we have, and really how do we find these areas where maybe we have these pain points and tensions about that demographic shift in our community, and really kind of work together to solve them. On the other side, we have Jim Clements, who's the executive director of Home Woven, working on both sides of the river to really make investments in housing. This was formerly Project Houseworks. You may be more familiar with that name. But Home Woven is doing some partnerships with MCC around affordable housing. They're doing some interventions in housing rehab in Council Bluffs, and really just expanding this playbook about helping people age in place, which is already happening, but with more dignity, and being able to do that and transition that. And it's got just great insights on what they've seen over the last 10 years and where they're going. So it should be a really good event. We're excited about it. And really, I think it's a great time to talk about some of these issues, and join us in Mills County. And that is it for my update.
That was quick.
Listen, we got through it.
Any further questions for Mike? If not, Sue, did we have anybody that wanted to
We
comment
don't.
on that? Okay. Agenda item F is consent agenda. I can take all of these at once unless you request to pull it. Item 1 is finance committee meetings, and 2 are 2 final contract payments. Item 3 is a contract payment, and item 4 is a proclamation for World Day of Reverence for road traffic victims. Would I have a motion to approve? Motion made. Second, Clue. Further questions or discussion? Sue?
Saldana,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Blue,
Yes.
Shay,
Aye.
Trudeau,
Aye.
Winquist, Kindig.
Yes. Agenda item G is old business. Item number 1 is a resolution 2027-02, approval of the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, amendment number 2. Court?
Yep. So there were no changes between the draft amendment that we brought last month, what we have today. We didn't receive any comments during the comment period. Effectively, what we have here are 7 additional projects that we're adding to the MTP. We've got effectively 3 project updates, and then we'll also have, we updated 2 of the federal funding sources, basically the congressionally directed spending and discretionary spending, as well as the National Highway Performance Program on the Nebraska side, to make some room for those additional projects that we have put into the program. And then we've also updated all of the summary and fiscal constraint tables related to the addition of those projects and the updated funding amounts. Like I said, no changes from the draft that we brought. This is coming with a favorable recommendation for approval from CTAC.
Questions for court? If not,
What are you doing on the North 30th corridor? This is Highway 75.
So what we're doing there is NDOT has made a request through Don Bacon's office to fund some kind of safety improvements along that corridor. This is kind of an ongoing, part of the ongoing conversation about, you know, what do I do with this mix of, you know, it's got kind of a sort of a downtown-esque feel with a lot of commercial and office use along that corridor, but it's also a truck route, also a state highway. So they're looking to do something to address all of these kind of compounding issues. the application isn't 100% clear. I don't think they have a full project. They don't have it fully through design yet, but they're asking for funding, and we're kind of getting out ahead of that to get that into our long range plan before they actually want to start work.
Did they ever come up with anything for North 16th and cross the river there?
That I'm not actually sure about.
Do you want to, so we did, so a few years ago, 2020, we had a funding from the state of Nebraska to evaluate new Missouri River Bridge crossings. And when we got folks together, both on the local side and state side, State Senator Wayne, who was leading that effort, we asked, what problem are we trying to solve with this? And ultimately, it was those exact issues that Court was highlighting, really the mix of truck with commercial activity on North 30th Street. So we went through a planning study where those Missouri River Bridge alternatives were, or I should say those Missouri River Bridge concepts were alternatives that we were considering. And that was our Highway 75 corridor and freight planning study. So we really looked at the alignment of Highway 75 where it currently is in Florence and if there were other options to move it. And the answer is there were. The other answer is they were extraordinarily expensive. And at that time, our federal partners said that they were not good fits for federal funding, that they just had too many environmental impacts to make their way through the process. You're entering a floodplain there that doesn't have a lot of development potential, and it's a floodway in many of the areas that we would be looking to build a bridge. And so the other alternatives that we looked at, there was kind of another kind of parallel alignment through a neighborhood. It had a lot of neighborhood impacts. But what we found when we were doing the benefit cost analysis, and we had the consultants really break this out, is that when you would look at the cost of a project like a bridge over the Missouri River or making improvements on North 30th Street, all of the benefits were coming from doing a road diet and traffic calming on North 30th Street, that the safety benefits were really driving the value to the public, that all the traffic benefits, the truck traffic moving, there were actually more delays and other things that were compounding because it was out of distance. And so when we started to really kind of talk and work with the city of Omaha and NDOT on that project, ultimately we were really pushing more of a safe systems approach on North 30th Street, slowing the traffic, reducing some of the vibration, making it more of a neighborhood feel than a truck through route. But ultimately that comes in conflict with many of the things that Court just talked about, that truck routes, state highways are about moving traffic quickly. Safety is about reducing speeds so that the conflicts that do happen are less severe. So ongoing conversation, that's part of the design that we're having there. That's ultimately where this came from, was what can we do in short order? Maybe there's an opportunity to build something later on, but at $500 million for a bridge, it's probably a ways out.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a long answer to your question, but that was a good question.
We were up at the Tasty Treat or whatever that was.
Oh, sure.
It's still nuts up there.
Yeah.
Traffic just goes.
Yeah, well,
I was curious.
we're excited that NDOT is coming to the problem solving table and securing some funding to do it.
Okay.
And I will note that for that project, there has not been a response yet. Like the awards aren't released yet.
It's not part of the appropriations bill yet.
Right. We don't actually know if they're going to get it.
So to Court's point, the world of earmarks, the congressionally directed spending or community project funding is back. And those requests get submitted in the spring, they get put in an appropriations bill in December. The challenge for us is that if we don't have them in the MTP, those projects can't start. We don't do an MTP amendment all the time. And so when things are requested, we've started the practice, and it's really a credit to Court and Carlos, is we've taken those requests and put them in the MTP so that if they are funded, our communities and state partners can move ahead. If they're not funded, we've documented that's an unmet need. And so it kind of helps us just keep better track of everything that's going on. So that's really a credit to the transportation team for coming up with a way of trying to meet in the middle. But it does put us out front a little bit, but at least the paperwork's done.
Further questions for Court? If not, the motion to approve.
So move, Shudak.
Second, please.
Further discussion or questions? Sue?
Saldana,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Ike,
Yes.
Clue,
Yes.
Shay,
Aye.
Hudak,
Yes.
Winquist, aye. Kindig,
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 2 is the MAPA strategic plan, 2027 updates. Mike?
Laura, can you go back to the slide deck? I had a couple of slides there at the end. One slide, I should say. Excellent. So you have in your packet here a copy of our work, the statement of work. So this is our strategic plan. And just a reminder of kind of how we view and use the strategic plan within MAPA. We really use this as a way of having the board's voice in everything we're doing, from the questions we ask in our member survey to the priorities we advance in our budget and work program. And this is the document that you have here is really a very internal document. So it's less about a lot of the work that we're doing out in the community and more about what we're doing as MAPA to kind of set ourselves up for success on all those other projects. And it goes across those kind of areas of our strategic vision, from the administrative excellence piece, the community partnerships, how we're proactive on member services, and then just that kind of leadership role that we get to play on many conversations. And then what we call solutions-oriented focused planning, which is trying to be vital on issues as they come up, like, you know, this good example of that, where that issue permeates to the top, we bring folks together and try to get something. And so I won't belabor all of this, but what you have in your packet in the blue are things that we set out to do in FY26 and kind of a statement of where we are. And then that yellow area on each of those is really our statement of work going ahead. And so on those kind of refining strategies to increase meaningful and visible impact, talks a lot about our events, our public facing pieces, unifying and automating our processes, talks a lot about some software tools that we're investing in, our work to harmonize our administrative policies, and then also just a handoff of items between teams. We're looking at the redirecting resources to prioritize historically marginalized communities. That's a lot about our public outreach and some of the things that we have in our transportation planning process that we have to see to and through. And so this allows us to kind of keep track of all of those things. And then enhancing MAPA's visibility and services resources. How do we show up? How are we vital and ready to serve our communities? How do we get the word out? How do we kind of show up in places and all of that? And then finally, that mission and focus on excellence. That to me is really just about, you know, look at our mission, it's very broad. How do we know we're in that right direction? And then also, how do we make sure that we're able to say yes in a way that allows us to actually excel at it, and we're not kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall, which it can feel like sometimes, but I assure you it's not. And then since 2020, the MAPA Board of Directors passed a resolution, the equity resolution, that focused on really kind of MAPA's role in shaping conversations about you know, historically disadvantaged communities and disinvested communities. And these 10 things come out of that resolution. And this is kind of our statement. We do this as part of our strategic plan each year, just kind of track where we are, what we've done, how we've sort of done this self-assessment in terms of the things that we've been doing over the last year. And this is really just, I think, for us, visibility and transparency onto this thread of work, really that direction we got from the MAPA Board of Directors, and how we're accounting for that across all of the different areas of work, both in the past year and in the year ahead. And so with your approval today, this would be adopted as our plan of work. It's really, I would say, a very kind of detailed refinement of which are already approved in our work plan, but a little bit more internally focused than that piece of work.
Motion to approve.
Second, Shay.
Further discussion? If not, Sue?
Saldana,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Clue,
Yes.
Shay,
Aye.
Trudeau,
Yes.
Winquist, Kindig,
Yes. Agenda item H, just new business. Number one is new contracts or agreements. Mike, did you have something to add to this?
Yes, so back in June, we were kind of doing a three-step process here for our legal services. Back in June, we updated the rates for FY27. Last month in July, we made Barrett Home our FY27 council of record, and we noted that we'd be coming back with kind of a reimagined fixed fee or retainer type relationship. Laura, if you want to go back up one page here to page 2 right there, that retainer arrangement. This is the key change from last year to this year. As a reminder, this is our first year, or we're coming into year 2 for our first year with outside counsel. And we have Jimmy in here from Barrett Home in the room today. And it's been a good learning experience for us. But Lisa has done a great job of just kind of being our point person and managing all of this as our grants and agreement specialist. But really just trying to learn what are those issues, what's that process, what's that handoff between the consultant and MAPA, and what issues and how do we take them, and really how do we have cost control? Because, you know, obviously outside services, you know, they go very quickly. And so what we worked with Barrett Home to really articulate was an arrangement that differs from the fixed fee relationship that we had last month, which is about or last year rather, that had more about access to certain types of services and a monthly payment of $1,000 to kind of have access to those. We didn't use those services very much. We use mostly hourly services. So this retainer really just captures the amount that we anticipate budgeting for this year. Those funds will be available to us in future years. If we don't use them, it'll be board action to come back and go over that. But it also just captures everything really outside of litigation and those employment investigations that would require a specialized kind of piece of work. And so the rates are within that document. This is kind of a culmination of this process and iteration from last year, but we're excited about the path forward, and thank you to Jimmy for the support here over the last year and everybody here. Happy to answer any questions if there are.
What has been our annual fees for something like
Yeah,
this?
so in year one, we had right around 25,000. And that included a number of things kind of going back and forth. We talked a little bit about some of our back and forth with Oracle. There were a lot of open meetings requests, we got kind of open meetings and records and just making sure that we were approaching those in the right way. And then ultimately, some support for immigration services. So that's been something that we've done on the employment side of things, is kind of really working through that process of the H-1B visa and other things. And so that total was 25,000. What we've built into this, and kind of one thing that we've been working with Eric Omaha is, as we've transitioned away from Omaha city law as our attorney, we haven't had anybody to do more of a contract review. And so this will be our first fiscal year without city law to be able to review our agreements to form, putting those under Bears Home. We're just anticipating there might be a little bit of an increase. I don't anticipate that it'll be fully up to 35,000, but just having that attorney actually kind of look at our agreements, help us modernize some of that, and then that administrative policies. So kind of the big projects that we have for the next year, but we're going to need council to look.
Did we pay the city?
No, the city,
Okay.
by our interlocal, is not able to pay. So our interlocal agreement allows a member of MAPA to be our legal counsel, which is dubious, but because they can't have attorney-client privilege with us. But they can be our legal counsel, but they can't have you pay. That's interlocal. So for the last 58 years, City of Omaha was our attorney. Thankfully, nothing diverse ever happened that we had to go and search for outside counsel. But for us, the kind of pace and nature of our work, through the MAPA Foundation, we were doing real estate transactions, and city law wasn't really able to help that. So that was kind of outside counsel. There were some other issues, legislative research things, and city law wasn't really able to help with that. So that's where we really ended up with going to outside counsel, just for more comprehensive services, so that we kind of knew who we could work through for those issues that were more like things that we were doing.
Okay.
I have some specific concerns related to Jimmy Pinkham's credentials.
Thank you very much.
No, let's not do that.
Unlike Commissioner Pratt, I would say that we worked with Ms. Harvey a little bit and very much appreciate your service.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Difference of opinion of two counties. I got it.
When you say that they're gonna review contracts and stuff, are we talking we're not talking contracts that staff has been dealing with for years, and basically they're a cookie cutter contract. We're not gonna have our attorneys looking at those, are we?
It depends. So I would say there's some of those cookie cutter things that we've been getting from the state of Nebraska in the past. Like a big piece of that would be like consultant.
Right.
And so the state of Nebraska has templates for that. I would say that those are often include rules and sort of guidelines that maybe suit the state, but are very difficult for us to implement and administer. One thing that we've been looking at is kind of alternative contracting processes. So moving away from cost plus fixed fee, which is, you pay for the hour, you pay for the overhead, you pay for the fixed fee for profit, all of that kind of accumulates in those consultant contracts, to more of a lump sum with progress payments.
Fixed fee with, or fixed price with progress.
I got the name, fixed price with progress payments. And that's gonna require a little bit of work on our end to kind of set that up. But the hope is, yes, Mayor, like not everything is kind of unique and bespoke, but we will have to have some different ways of approaching these things. We can always fall back to the state's process, but it is difficult on the consultant management side of things. We're basically having to do pre-audit on all of those consultant invoices, and then that goes to the state, and they're doing pre-audit, and then there's the audit, and it's just, we're doing a lot of extra work where we're not as focused on just getting the work done. They're very focused on spending every dollar and then asking us for more. We're trying to find the best way of kind of doing those, agreements. So that's where a lot of the change will be in terms of us, if we're going to have new templates, new approaches to these problems. Having legal make sure that those, one, satisfy all the federal requirements, federal dollars, but then also making sure that they're legal.
So I don't know you, sir, so I don't have a slanted opinion on this. My experience with my city attorney is that they will find something, right? All I ask is that you make sure that what they're reviewing does need to be reviewed if it can't be handled by the staff. And then, to be honest, maybe check in with us and give us an update on, I know we can always check the budget and stuff, but maybe a 3-month and a 6-month update on it. Sure. I don't think 35,000 is enough.
Well, we did spend it last time. We did spend 35,000 last time.
I know, so nothing against you, sir. 26 years of dealing with my attorney is all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But I trust MAPA staff that you'll set it right. Yeah, that's all.
But we don't have the deep pockets of the city of Vista, pay people. I don't think.
Oh, yeah, that's, believe me, I don't disagree with that. That's what we start. No, we appreciate you coming up and we look forward to your expertise and keeping us out of trouble and making sure that we do get fair contracts. Part of our job is to make sure that we're financially, secure and we're spending the money the right way. You've heard that before.
I come from a government background, so I spent over a decade as a deputy county attorney. A lot of the attorneys in our office come from government or already represent governmental entities. There's a few people sitting at the table today that are familiar with me because of that. So I'm very well aware of your concerns. We don't review anything that isn't sent to us, and we're very careful. One of the reasons that I think that we can be helpful is because we have over 100 attorneys that practice in different areas, and so we don't have one attorney having to learn how to review certain things. So for example, with the Oracle dispute, we have attorneys that just happen to deal with disputes with Oracle on behalf of other clients on a daily basis. So we're able to do things, I think, in a really economical way. And as you probably, hear from Elise and Christina and Mike and Matt, we're willing to talk about these and talk about our agreement. And the $35,000, the intent behind that is to give some amount of security in terms of, I recognize from the government, you never want to have to go ask for more money in the future. So the idea is we tell you how much we think it's going to cost at the beginning. And if we get to that number, we do. If we don't, we'll roll it over into the next one and the next year's retainer will be reduced. And so you'll never spend more than $35,000 a year. And if our engagement ever ceases, we'll deal with that when it gets there. But the idea is to provide as much, I think, security for MAPA as possible. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you very much. Commissioner, I will not.
Watch it close, man.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Might have to have the meeting.
So do I have a motion in a second yet?
No.
I need one, please.
Motion made.
Second. Any further discussion? Please, Sue?
Saldana,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Ike,
Yes.
Blue,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Shudak,
Yes.
Winquist, aye. Kindig.
Yes. Agenda item I is discussion. Do any of the board members wish to discuss anything at all?
Shameless plug, we opened our pier last night on the riverfront. So if you want to take a nice walk, the pier is completely open and we are about 2 or 3 weeks away from the Adventure Tower opening up. So Lots of great, things going on the riverfront. So bike, walk, whatever, the pier is officially open. Yes.
Any additional business, Mike, we've
Yeah.
got 2026 annual awards.
Yes, so as a reminder, we've for the last several years, we've been having staff do kind of the recommendation on the MAPA awards. I've put this memo together really just for kind of your transparency into that process. So MAPA has 2 awards that we award on an annual basis, one of those being the Regional Citizenship Award that recognizes an individual that we see kind of contributing to that regional problem solving, working on things that impact quality of life, and really demonstrating leadership. And we have the Regional Service Award, which is really those same kind of qualities, but for an organization, an agency, or a department. And so this year we're recommending as staff Paula Dennison from the city of Gretna. So she's the city administrator there. I mean, she has been just an incredibly important voice in our transportation planning work, and somebody that I think there's just few people who have been as committed to the problem solving that we find ourselves doing on a daily basis as Paula. You know, taking a mini grant award that was awarded to the city of Gretna and allowing us to reimagine that as a regional project for all of Southwest Sarpy County. A tremendously important project in WeStep. That was her leadership that got us there. And then ultimately now translating the I-80 interchange planning and environmental linkages study into a project in short order. I mean, she's been the point person on negotiating all of that stuff with the state. And that project is moving very quickly. And that's a credit to her as well. The second organizational award here for the service award is Heartland Bike Share. You know, Heartland Bike Share has been on this list for so many years, and I just feel like they always end up being second or third. They've just done an incredible job of expanding access to bike share and electric bike share. I think just the transition to electric bikes being one of the first systems to do that anywhere in the country is incredible. But this year we felt like it was the year to recognize the partnership with local government and all of you at the local level that have invested in bike share stations. That has opened up free rides for your residents. And that free rides program we think is just a culmination of about honestly 8 or 10 years of worth of work of kind of building and expanding their capacity. And so it's a great year to recognize their contributions to mobility and quality of life and transportation access across the region. So for kind of all that transparency, we have kind of the rest of the award candidates. These are folks that were carried over from last year or people that were identified in our staff meeting. And then I also attached the 2 letters that we'll send out later today.
That's it.
And they'll be recognized at our annual dinner. I forgot to say that as well. So that is the timing of this is we'll let them know this week and then we'll recognize them on October 7th. And hope you join us.
Excellent. With that, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting and wish everybody safe travel.
Thank you.
Thank you.